All right, so this week is our very first of our three papers that we're going to work on in this course. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you download the target article. That's right here. This is an article that looks at, it's a research study that looks at police officers' reaction time and how quickly or how many mistakes they make when they have to make the decision whether or not to shoot or not shoot an armed or unarmed suspect, depending on whether or not that suspect is black or white. So it's a very interesting, somewhat topical paper. I post the guidelines here to give you an explanation of what I sort of am looking for in this paper. So what you're going to want to do is definitely read through the articles. It'll probably take a couple of times. Don't stress too much if the results section doesn't make too much sense. Again, the point of this is to get you practice reading these articles. I don't expect you to be experts right out of the gate. You want to tackle some of these questions. What are the researchers' questions? How do they answer it? What do they find? And then connect this to what we discuss in the book, challenging ideas raised in lecture, whether or not these findings, the results of the study are optimistic, pessimistic, or both. Papers need to be double-spaced, 12-point font, maximum of 5 pages in length. I don't like to give a page minimum, but I say maximum of 5 or so pages. The assignment is due on the October 6th, so that is on a Monday night by 11:55 p.m. It says on the guidelines that the paper is worth 40 points, but that's old and outdated. The paper is actually worth 25 points. So what I give you here is the paper grade summary. Now this is the actual grading guide that I use to evaluate students' papers. And notice it's broken up into two different sections. There's a summary section and an interpretation section. You are going to want to make sure that your paper adequately covers both the summary and the interpretation. Oftentimes what will happen is students will write a really good summary and they'll get about 3 pages of paper written and they'll think they're done. And they lose substantial points because they don't cover all of the points that I'm asking for on the guidelines. So for the summary, what are the researchers' questions? How do they answer the questions? What do they find? What do the results mean? I'm looking to see that you can read and understand the article. I don't want you to parrot back to me phrases from the article. I don't need to know specifically what their participants' breakdown was. I do need to know that the participants are police officers, all right? But I don't need to know the specific details. Again, I want this to be in your own words, demonstrating that you've read and understood the article. The second part is the interpretation section. How does this clarify things that we've discussed in the class or book? Does it challenge ideas raised in lecture, whatnot? What you really want to shoot for these papers is about a solid paragraph addressing each of these questions for both the summary and the interpretation section. Really good papers are going to be balanced. They're going to be about half summary, half interpretation. They're going to make connections between what we talked about in the discussions and in the book, and they're going to address all of the questions that I've asked. Finally, there's the overall presentation, organization, clarity, proper formatting, on time, reasonable spelling and grammar, etc. The paper is due on October 6th, so that means you have 2 weeks from today to get this paper done. Be aware that all papers will get run through turnitin.com. So when you go to turn in the paper, you're going to click on this paper number 1 Dropbox link, and you will upload your paper there. So if we click on this link, you will notice when you click on the link, there's the My Submissions tab. You can click on My Submissions, select File Upload, and you can upload your file, give it a title, and upload it to Turnitin. When you are writing these papers, when you are summarizing these articles, you want to be very, very careful so to not plagiarize. There's a couple ways that you can avoid plagiarism. One is to take notes on the article, then put the article down, wait some amount of time, 20, 30 minutes, and then come back and write your summary based on the notes that you took without looking back at the original article. Right? This way, you're writing your paper based on your own interpretation, and you minimize the risk that you're going to be writing something out word for word. Another option too is to sort of change the structure and then change the language. So get started reading your papers. I'm sorry. So go ahead and get started reading the target article, and then get working on your paper. You want to make sure that you leave yourself enough time so that you're not sort of doing this at the last minute. As always, the late paper assignment policy applies. Late papers will be penalized up to 20% per day that they're late, not including weekends. And as always, you can email me if you have any questions.